on to the next panelist, Rupam Chaudhury, who is heading healthcare and pharmaceutical business of TCS. I would like you to educate us and teach us, Rupam, that what could be considered or what should be expected from Gen AI in manufacturing, or you can pretty much use your own sector and industry and how they have been using. I'm sure various devices and healthcare devices are using a heavy AI, ML and algorithms. So what should be expected out of Gen AI technologies in manufacturing operation or supply chain?
Thank you for that question. I'll give a little bit of background where my particular industry, life sciences and healthcare, relates to. Tomorrow, assuming that there is a patient who has had a massive event could be even death. The law and the regulations are such that the affected parties, especially the manufacturing company, has to be able to recourse the genealogy of everything that went into making the device, including the worker's qualification, the material supplier, certification, the testing which was done, the rationale which was used for designing the process, etc. The impediment really in applying Gen AI or AI is the fact that if the machine makes even a summary on which decision is taken, who owns the ownership? In other words, liability. The limiting factor is only liability. In fact, the majority of the use cases of AI, Gen AI is in quality and manufacturing. To answer your question, given the background of what I said and the limitation hence being the liability that comes on the manufacturer. Other than that, as you're aware, because of the need for genealogy, the amount of data is huge that is used in both discrete batch manufacturing as well as process manufacturing. So because of that, Gen AI has a perfect use case. For example, writing summary reports of what happens during the R&D process. Today in Europe, there is a new regime which is in place for med devices, which is the UMDR. And a lot of the work which is being done to qualify the products for to be sold in the European Union is actually assisted by Gen AI. Because humanly, it is not possible to clear the backlogs. We are also in conversation with the notified bodies that when they are using Gen AI to actually qualify their qualification process. Because the backlog is so huge that the current rate at which they can manually clear this backlog to get simple approval, which is both product design specifications, performance specification, as well as manufacturing process and specification. It's huge. So Gen AI is indeed playing a very critical role. But I want to bring the context to India a little bit, if it's okay. I think India, we have an advantage in the sense that it's a good thing as well as a bad thing. The bad thing is that we are not as litigious as the Department of Justice of the United States or the FDA of the United States or the CER organizations in the European Union. So we have an advantage that we can actually deploy this technology without much of a risk. We can gain from the productivity advantages as and when our regulatory agencies, the government also catch up with it. So we have an advantage that way. The use cases, to be more specific to your answer, is around any kind of summaries that need to be written to prove that batch record is correct, or to prove that the summarization of the clinical literature to support the efficacy of a device is correct. So we are doing tons of that today. But the bigger question is, in the use of Gen AI, is not the use case. What we have been successful in, and this is something as an advice to all the manufacturers, representatives here, is you have to think of your entire framework of your organization by which you will deploy Gen AI. It's not about the use case. Use cases are plenty. You can do POCs, you can play around with it all the time. But the important thing is, as an organization, you have to ensure that there was a platform and a framework in place by which you can bring in elements of Gen AI, the LLMs that you want to use, the cybersecurity framework that you want to adopt, what are the guardrails that you want to put in place for intellectual property protection and all. So it's a really big picture that needs to be put in place first, and then in a very organized manner, you can have different organizations. For example, Finance has a huge benefit to get from Gen AI. Your HR has a great benefit to gain from Gen AI, efficiencies to gain from Gen AI. But the overall platform must be in place in which the organization, especially the CIO organization, if you have one, puts into place a platform directly or in partnerships with advice from companies like TCS to put a platform in place, and then you can we push through all the use cases in a validated manner. So you don't run into the risks of your intellectual property being at risk or your cybersecurity being at risk. Hope that suffices.
Oh yeah, brilliantly. So what I understand that there I draw a parallel between what Joshi spoke about the aerospace and the defense and what you spoke about the healthcare. So one is that both of these industries are compliance heavy, and the regulatory bodies are so stringent that you have no choice but complying with the last level of detailing. And that's where, wherever there is a mandate, wherever there is no room, digital has done wonders in the past. Which brings the same thing that, so digital is no more a new concept, the way most of us kind of understand. Secondly, you already told about a lot of intelligence-based use cases and Gen AI use cases, particularly in the quality aspects of the pharmaceutical and healthcare. And and there is, I want audiences to draw a conclusion that, because if it is already happening in the quality in pharmaceutical and healthcare, how to draw an application for your specific industry, whether you are coming from chemical or cement or metal or whatever. So that could be one area where we can all look at that how Gen AI is going to simplify what these industries have already been doing for so many decades.